complicated. Kylian Mbappe getting on the end of a ball down the middle. Then John Stones went off injured. Nathan Ake came on. And then before City could get a genuine sight of the Real Madrid goal, Mbappe finished once more. And so at half-time here at the Bernabeu, in the second leg of this knockout tie, Real Madrid lead 2-0 on the night, 5-2 on aggregate. Well, let's go back to the studio and let's see if David James, Steve Howey and Natalie can think of some optimism after a pretty bleak first 45.
So it's half-time and City are trailing 2-0 to Real Madrid, which makes it 5-2 on aggregate as it stands. And Nicky Weaver there saying that City have a mountain to climb in the second half. Well, let's hope they strap on those hiking boots because it is going to be a big 45 minutes to come. City would need 3 goals without reply to take it to extra time. But hey, crazier things have happened in football. And as I said before the game, it is the hope that kills you. But hey, I'm going to keep hoping. Still joined by David James and by Steve Howey. Steve, I think by the end of our pre-match show, I'd got everybody going to the point that we all believed. And then Kylian Mbappe wiped that out in 4 minutes.
Yeah, I think it's from a City point of view, it's a disappointing goal to concede because it's, again, I think there's been a few times this season there's just been one ball over the top. I don't think Diaz will be delighted with these kind of contribution with that one. Yes, you can see Kylian Mbappe. He just gives him a little nudge. Whether that has a little bit of a bearing on, possibly. But he's kind of slightly out of position, and that one ball over the top just eludes him. And then, of course, he finishes it off. I mean, he's a top striker, so you couldn't really see anything else. But obviously, from a City's point of view, it's disappointing to start the game like that. You're thinking, let's just keep it tight. Can we put some pressure on them? But ultimately, yes, they've getting their second goal, but really, City haven't started. They haven't even had a shot on goal. So the manager being there at half-time, he'd probably be telling them a few home truths, you know. But they've got nothing to lose now. They might as well just go for it.
Yeah, I guess the positive from it is that it can't get any worse in the second half, David.
Well, of course it could. It could get a lot worse because it could be a heavy scoreline. But I think Steve Mazer made some good points there. They've had one attempt, City. I think Guardiola had a block shot, obviously not long after Mbappe scored. But the key thing was in that first goal, there was no pressure on Asensio at all. And when you're playing a high line and no pressure on a player who can play that long ball against one of the quickest players in world football, the outcome is potentially very dangerous. Yes, there might have been a bit of a shove and Diaz went a little bit early, anticipating the ball over the top, but as I say, with Mbappe and his pace, it was always going to be a problem. The second goal, I think, was probably the most frustrating one. There was some lovely interlink play from Real Madrid, but the ball that Rodrigo played across to Mbappe, Kushnerov, I think, he didn't anticipate because Mbappe was running to his right-hand side and kind of stepped backwards to cover Mbappe, and then the ball made it across, and then all of a sudden he was caught in no man's land. Some wonderful skill again. I mean, you've got to applaud, first of all, the finish from Mbappe for the lob over Edison. It was a lovely finish. I think exactly what Vinny was trying to do last week. And the finish for the second one, Jinking letting defenders slide across him, and a good finish. But as you say, and you know, they've got the hiking boots on, 3 goals. Real Madrid have only had 1 clean sheet in the Champions League this season so far. So the signs are there for a goal for City. Just need 3.
I like that little inkling of positivity you're keeping there for us, David. OK, let's have a chat about that first goal in a bit more detail because, of course, as we said, it came in the first 4 minutes, and it came after Real Madrid had a probably 35 second passage of possession. It was the long ball over the top to Mbappe, reminiscent of one of our goals against Newcastle, which of course was Edison, right over the top. Absolute Route 1 football. In terms of the defender in you, Steve, when you're looking at Ruben Diaz, the other City defenders in this moment, what could they have done different?
Well, it's easier said than done, but I mean, ultimately, I think when you're aware of somebody that's got frightening pace, I think you've got to give yourself that little bit of insurance so you can, you know, I don't think you can go kind of level with them. and stand side by side, because he's going to be in a one-on-one run. He's going to be most defenders, to be quite honest. So I just think, can they give themselves just that extra yard? So, if you're Kylian Mbappe, I'm going to be standing around the table, kind of half turn. Maybe it's just a little bit more, because if it comes over, whilst I know he's quicker than me, I should beat him in a straight race when I've got that yard, half a yard ahead of him. But obviously that wasn't the case. He's obviously gambled. He took the chance. I mean, to be fair, it's a great ball. And then he finishes it off superbly well. It's a difficult one for John Stones to come across as well, because the ball's gone and he's trying to run and play catch-up as well. Has that got something to do with his injury? I'm not too sure, because obviously he's straining to get back. But yeah, not a great start at all.
So that's the defender's point of view. From the goalkeeper's point of view, obviously Edison's lobbed in the goal, but is there anything he could have done differently?
There's a number of factors to say. No one's putting any pressure on the ball, which means that Ruben Diaz drops off early. And I think he drops off without John Stones knowing. And therefore, John Stones is behind him, because once the ball bounces, John gets across to try and challenge Mbappe's shooting. Had he been a yard closer, then I think he can actually try and get the block on the shot. So it was Ruben recognising that there was no pressure on the ball. For Eddie, the problem is it's a straight ball, and it's very difficult to judge the pace when it's coming straight at you. And also whether it's going to skip forward or whether it's going to bounce up. On this occasion, it seemed to bounce up in favour of Kylian Mbappe. So if you stay on your line, Kylian Mbappe chested down, runs through, scores, and people say, why didn't you come out? You come out, and then the quality of the finish. And again, going back to the first leg when Vinny Jr. tried to do the same thing. If Jude Bellingham doesn't follow up, that ball goes wide. Eddie's done the right thing, but you had someone following up. So it's sort of caught between a rock and a hard place there. But as I say, the main issue for Eddie is the ball coming straight at you and trying to judge how quick that's coming at you.
So City go 1-0 down in the first 5 minutes, which was just the first of the two devastating moments there, because, of course, touching on John Stones picked up an injury then and is substituted off within the first few minutes of the game. Absolutely heartbroken for him, Steve. I'm really hoping it's nothing serious, because it just really feels like he cannot get some luck with these injuries this season.
Yeah, I think when you get into the kind of a situation where, as a player, I think when I had 3 long-term injuries, the people used to sort of say, once you've got 10 games under your belt, then you can start thinking, right, me fitness is kind of there. I'm kind of I should be okay. But sometimes you do get in the habits. 2 or 3 games, you're out again. 2 or 3 games, you might miss 1 or 2 because of the manager rotation and stuff like that. But he just doesn't seem to be getting that consistency at the moment, and he is obviously susceptible to picking up a few injuries here and there. He's seen straight away once he plays that ball, he knows he's done something wrong. I mean, you can see it on his face as well. Obviously, he's disappointed. He wouldn't want to come off at any game, but obviously a game like this and how important it is and where it's at, you just hope that it isn't as bad. And then, of course, I think Nathan Ake comes on, and he's been struggling with injury as well. So it's a difficult one for the players and a difficult one for the manager. But as I said, he's got a team talk to give him a proper team talk. Listen, you're 2-0. Do we go out with a whimper, or are we going to give it a shot here? And I think if City can get the first goal, I think they'll start to twitch a little bit. Yes, they're still in the driving seat, but it's not over until it's over.
Yeah, City were 3-0 down once in an FA Cup game, if you remember the famous FA Cup game against Spurs, and they were down to 10 men as well, and they came back and won 4-3. OK, that is not Real Madrid. Spurs are not Real Madrid
They wear white,
at the Bernabeu.
That's true.
But, yes, they were...
They both wear white.
Oh, thank you. Yes, good point, David. Appreciate that, yes. And they also didn't have a Kylian Mbappe with 27 goals in all competitions now this season for that man. He is playing with an incredible level of confidence in tonight's game, which really radiated through in their second goal. Let's have a chat about that now in terms of, I mean, you give all the credit to Mbappe for the way that he... I'm trying to find a polite word of the way that Vardiol was turned by Mbappe. But in terms of what City could have done differently, what did you think?
Rodrigo goes down the right-hand side, cuts the ball across the face of the box. And as I say, there were so many bodies in the middle, which was the logical thing because it was, the attack was going in that direction. The ball across it was a weird ball across as well, because I didn't see that. I thought there was going to be a step over or a shot or something. Kushnov, as I say, I don't think he was quite sure on what to do. Had he known the ball was going to go across, I think he could have stepped out and dealt with it. But he had Mbappe on his right-hand shoulder. I think Vinny had just come in, hadn't he? So Vinny ends up with the ball, and then all of a sudden you've got to engage one or the other. Goes to a close, the ball into Mbappe. Gvardiol's done exactly what he had to do, because you're anticipating from 6 yards out that Mbappe is going to smash it 7 yards out, whatever it was. Cuts inside, and then, lovely finish into the sort of side corner on the left. But it's the skill of Mbappe in the end that makes the goal. Rodrigo's pass, as I say, I think was just it was a right pass, but it just didn't seem to fit the move and where everyone was positioned. So you've got to give a bit of skill and maybe a bit of fortune.
Yeah, absolutely. We can give credit when credit is due. Steve, there were so many burgundy shirts around. I immediately said to you, there's so many of them, but there was still so much space for Madrid to play in.
Yeah, there seemed a lot of bodies there, and everybody's kind of looking at each other. Even the Madrid players, when it comes to the final two on the edge, both kind of left it for each other. In the end, I think one of the Real Madrid players gets it and puts it through. Is it Covenant?
Yeah.
I think it goes like through his legs, just nicks it through. But I think it was like, as Jim sort of said, it was a pass that nobody was kind of expecting. So it's gone behind everybody when people was expecting it, maybe it's in front of them. And I think that's what kind of made the decision really about all of a sudden now it's certainly in Madrid's favour. So they've managed to get control of the ball. But Mbappe, how he takes the pass and how he finishes it off is brilliant. As I said, I'm not too keen on the way that he's kind of, as he's wheeled away, he's kind of more or less poking fun at Gvardiol about what he's done. Look, he scored a good goal, take the plaudits, don't try and put down a fellow pro, but obviously he's buzzing at that, but good finish. But as I said, it's a tough ask for them to come back from here, but not undoable.
Absolutely not undoable in the slightest. You know that I will remain optimistic until the last minute of this game. Even if it means scoring 3 goals in the last minute, I will remain optimistic. I think the only disappointing thing, one of the disappointing things for me in that first 45 minutes, David, it seemed like there was a distinct lack of urgency from City. Like, this isn't a knockout game where we need to score a bucket full of goals.
Well, before the goal, I think Ali said it right in commentary. We're talking about 4 minutes like it was a long time. But before the goal, the opportunities to go in the wide positions were there. It was evident. The concern I've got is the way that the team is set up when you've got Mamouche and Savio in front of their defence, not on the wide positions. And then Phil Foden gets in there. What you end up with is almost like 3v4 in the middle with no width, where Madrid is susceptible into the corners, which is what they looked like in the first 4 minutes. Once they'd scored, it kind of changed things. And I just hope that they get players wide and give themselves an opportunity and get a shot on target, which would be nice.
So that's the City team coming back out there. I'm just quickly counting in my head, and that looks like 11 City players have come out there. So no changes at half-time. But of course, remember, Erling Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne are both on the bench. Will we see them? Let's hope that the Blues come out with a sense of urgency in the second half. 3 goals takes us to extra time, and I very much hope the next time I see you, we are talking about extra time. So, Blues, we fight till the end always. Back over now to Alistair Mann and to Nicky Weaver for the second half commentary.
Thank you, Natalie. Welcome back to the Bernabeu. Doesn't look as though City have made any changes at half-time. What they have to change is the momentum of this fixture. The perfect start for the home side, a goal within 4 minutes, and then a second one in the 33rd. And in simple terms, the Blues quite have to score 3 times minimum. And even if they do, that will only take the game to extra time. But we've seen some extraordinary comebacks from City before. I'm reminded, of course, of that extraordinary game against Aston Villa when the Blues won the Premier League title and Ilkay Gundogan weighed in with 2 special goals. The Blues were 2 down that night, or that afternoon.